Stugotz here for Lightstream. Have you ever looked at your credit card statement and been shocked by the interest rate? Did you know you could actually roll all your credit card debt into one monthly payment at a lower fixed interest rate? Pretty cool. Lightstream offers credit card consolidation loans from 5.89% APR with autopay, lower than the average credit card interest rate of over 18% APR. Fun fact, Lightstream plants a tree with every loan they fund. That's pretty amazing. Seriously, that's very cool. My listeners will get a special discount on top of Lightstream's already low rates. The only way to get this discount is to go to lightstream.com/Levitard, LIGHTSTREAM.com/Levitard. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% auto-pay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Levitard for more information.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Don't go anywhere, Guillermo Luis. I want to talk to you about Pro Football Insider Mike Florio. We'll do that in a second. I will not knock the man's hustle. I get asked all the time by lawyers and doctors, how do I do what you do? I don't like doing what I do. Mike Florio was one of those people who turned a law passed into an aggregate site, and people like their football information. But he likes it too much. He likes his football information. Something people don't know about the Adam Schefters of the world is you have to have like a compartment in your brain to do that job like that. You have to be a little nuts because Mike Florio has to worry about what's going on in football 20 hours a day. He's always got to be scouring everything that's being written by anyone or said by anyone on the radio. Mike Florio has made himself from a lawyer into a media personality because he's a very good aggregator.
What does he do with the other 4 hours?
Damn, man, why are you shading Mike Florio like that? Yeah. They have their own writers. He's built his own sources. Now maybe it started as a bit of an aggregate site. He
has done all that. He has done all that as a remora fish on the NFL. He has done all of that, with the 7 billion other remora fish insiders that the NFL has, because the NFL is very popular and we will do anything for our football information.
What I love about Florio's site, though, is the stories are short. They're right to the point. You get through them. Boom, 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 boom. You've read 5 NFL stories. That I like about Mike Florio's site. I do. And he does hustle. I give him that.
I am not knocking the man's hustle.
Peter King is receiving checks, and you know who's signing them?
Who's that, Mike?
Mike Florio.
That's right.
Respect the man's hustle.
I respect the hustle.
And his almost too perfect hair.
Yeah, put that on the poll, Guillermo. Is Mike Florio's hair almost too perfect?
It seems like you're not respecting him again.
Well, first of all, Guillermo Luis,
See?
I had someone ask me the other day if Guillermo and Billy were the same person.
You told him no, right?
Why are you mad at Florio?
Whoa. I'm not mad at Florio. I don't know why you're, displacing this on me. You were the one that wanted to take a shot at Florio.
Wait a minute. Whoa. I'm happy to take a shot at Florio whenever. I don't care about that. The reason this has started the show as the topic is because you texted me what Florio sent because it delighted you so.
Well,
why are you putting that on me? You know what? Get out of here. I can do this without you.
2 minutes or 5 minute major?
2 minutes. Get out of here. I'll do it without your help. You texted me that.
I thought, look, this is what happened. So someone tweeted us.
Which part of $2 get out of here did you not understand?
We'll get there. So this is what he said. We're taking it one day at a time, Roger said Tuesday on the Dan Le Batard Show when a topic came up. After roughly 15 minutes of meandering on subjects like the Dalai Lama and sharks, one day at a time.
Meandering?
So I just thought it was funny that, I didn't think about it at the time, but it's funny that Mike Florio and essentially the football world was tuned in yesterday to our interview with Aaron Rodgers to hear what was going on with his knee. And we wasted everybody's time.
Well, there was an interesting tension.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. That's correct.
And give love to
That's
what things
right.
cost.
Yeah, you asked him what a unicycle cost before you asked him whether he was playing Sunday. That's correct.
People are wondering about his knee. We asked him how much mango-flavored LaCroix a unicycle and a sewing machine
He was
cost.
very upset. He thought you had rigged the game.
He seemed to love that game, by the way.
Hyper-competitive.
Okay, but that game made it difficult because this tension that exists outside the building also it exists inside the building. Because you could go ahead and check all the sensibilities of the shows that ran that sound with the game in it or with the nonsense in it where you guys are just screaming at Aaron Rodgers to play and then Roy meekly getting in there with fantasy questions. You can check the network and you will see who does it our way and who does it Florio's way. And the answer is most of them do it Florio's way.
But honestly, if someone else would have done the interview, what would the interview have been? You would have just kept asking.
It would have been a lot of
his
questions
knee?
about his about his knee and his hamstring and it would have been a lot of questions about the pain.
But he didn't want to talk about it. So what are you supposed to do? Just keep asking?
Well, he wasn't going to talk about it, and he was going to shut down an interview with cliches the moment the football started, as you saw when you finally did ask him about it.
All that being said, maybe one or two too many Dalai Lama questions. Stayed on that just a bit too long.
Anyone you want to blame there, or
I do.
Yeah, I know who did. I know who. I do. Not here right now.
It was Greg Cody's fault.
oh man,
we fail as a team. Yeah.
No, not only was it Greg Cody's fault, Stugotz will tell you that this is a true story. I would call Cody and put him in the penalty box.
How do you do
after that segment?
You sure you don't want to call him 50 minutes from now?
After that segment. This is a true story. Stugotz was here as it happened. I was sort of explaining to Greg Cody how an interview works. Because at the end of the show, Greg Cody had no idea whether he was on the air or not. We brought pie in for his birthday, and he spent the last 30 seconds of the show not knowing if we were on the air or not.
He was really mad. Wanted his Lobos update, and it was
There's something wrong with your sound there, Mike. But anyway, Greg Cody was in with us yesterday and had no idea that the show ended. And what happened with that Aaron Rodgers interview, Stugotz was here. Whose side are you on? I want an honest appraisal from you, no sugarcoating.
Right.
In fact, you tell the people so it's not my biased take on what happened there.
Well, I'm definitely on your side. Greg was, we do these interviews. There's kind of a rhythm to the way Dan does interviews. And we went into that interview thinking that we knew we were going to talk about the llama. But Greg was going to ask Shark Week questions. And he had told Dan before the interview that he was going to ask nothing but shark questions, a shark question. And then it got to Greg's lap, the interview. And what he did is he followed up with not one, but two Dalai Lama questions.
And so we ended up asking a lot of Dalai Lama questions, and it ended up getting repetitive. And when it was over, Greg Cody and I got into an argument.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because he said he was going to do one thing, and he forgot.
Yep. That's what he does.
That's who he is. But I want to address this tension a little bit more. How is this happening here? Explain to me whose side people should take on the idea of sensibilities. Aaron Rodgers, you've heard me make this lament a million times when it comes to quarterbacks and coaches. Their whole job in public is to be a public voice and face of a team that doesn't actually say anything. Just keep talking and don't say anything. Just keep the distractions away. So there ain't an investigative journalist alive who would have gotten out of Aaron Rodgers some information about whether he's actually playing on Sunday if Aaron Rodgers doesn't want you to know that.
Correct. No one. I mean, so what do you want? 10 minutes of people badgering him and asking that same question that he's not going to answer?
But I also get why it's important. I get why he's a seminal figure in your sports holiday Sunday. Like it's your Sunday's a holiday. You care about it that way. And Aaron Rodgers is a god. And when he comes on here, you're supposed to be prayerful. Because I did my worshiping. I just didn't do any journalism.
We tried at the end. I mean, we did try at the end. We all asked him.
Is that an insult on Mike Florio to call him an aggregator?
Now.
But why? So's Ariana Huffington. It's worked out for her.
They hire their own writers now.
I mean, so is Huffington. Like, is Mike Florio not an aggregator?
No, he hired Peter King, and he's got his sources now.
No, but I understand.
But he's got his sources now.
Well, he's always had his sources, no?
No, but now he's got a full team.
He didn't have any sources.
No, I understand, but he built that out. It was an aggregate site, and now it's not so much. But still kind of.
Again, the meandering set me and Chris off. The word meandering. It was not a meandering interview because of us. It was a meandering interview because of Cody.
feel like that's a fine. It would be a fine for me, blaming Cody.
You get out of here, Guillermo Luis. You just sat there the whole segment defying the rule system.
We talked about him petting a shark with his throwing hand. What do people want?
That's old news. Everyone knew that.
Dan Le Batard.
Dwayne Wade's a 36-year-old man and would whoop up on any of us with relative ease.
I got a feeling that one of us could take Dwayne Wade.
There's no combination of two of us that could take Dwayne Wade.
I cannot take Dwayne Wade. Maybe.
Mike and Roy are the nominees.
I cannot take Dwayne Wade. Are you insane?
Roy, do you feel like you could take Dwayne Wade to the woodshed?
Not to the woodshed. No, absolutely not.
Stugotz.
We are fighting Dwayne Wade.
No rules.
We are fighting Dwayne Wade.
I could beat him at Yahtzee, for sure.
At Yahtzee?
Oh, yeah, I'm good at Yahtzee.
I'll beat him at putt-putt.
I'll beat him at Uno.
I'll beat him at basketball.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So a person writes in via text on the topics of F's and S's. Who gives a flying F or two flying S's where football teams power rank?
You don't get the show.
I mean, what? Who doesn't care about power rankings? How else am I supposed to know who's good? I need someone to tell me. You can't just look at the games. I need a list after.
How can you not care about this?
People crunch so many stats and watch so much film
Like my list.
Who cares about
to
that?
tell us something that, yes, on the surface may seem obvious, but then cuts you with the Brady and Patriots are not in there.
Well, and I understand around here for many years here on ESPN Radio, okay? The Golick and Wingo show is the big show. It's it wasn't Wingo. I mean, he's kind of, tagged along. But this was the big radio show and is the big radio show on this network. And so when Trey Wingo gives his Power 5 top rankings there, top 5 power rankings, we're all in around here. Everyone stops to gather around and find out what they are.
The world stops.
But in our poor little copycat way, because you can't follow the pioneers, Stugotz, in an homage to Trey's top 5 list, he's putting a top 6 together. No, we don't want to blast
a top 6?
Yes.
How is that an homage? That's changing the game. It's something completely different.
Top 6.
An homage.
A 6-pack of NFL teams. How
You
about
knew
that?
such a wide lane was there for you to occupy.
Yes.
So, how do you want to do this one? Are we also doing it the creative way you did last one, where you went from top to bottom, or
We're gonna start with number 1 and work our way to 6, and I'll just tell you, okay? I will tell you right now.
Are you going to give away some goods?
Come on now.
I have a little surprise for you after I reveal number 6. Just a tiny little surprise.
so? Wait a minute,
wrinkle to
6
my list.
surprises and then a 7th surprise?
No. I have my 6 teams, my power rankings after week 1 of the NFL season, and then I have a little surprise for everyone after that.
So
After
6. So 6 surprises and then a surprise.
No. Well, I guess. Yes.
Yes.
Sure, fine,
we don't know what they're going to be. Each
You're a
one's going to be a
damn
surprise.
visionary.
Yes.
You're a visionary.
Thank you. Number 1.
I'm going to get a different sound.
Hold on, let me
I have to get a different
All right, hold on. Tell
This
me
is
when you're
the
ready.
best one.
Tell me when you're ready.
Because you want to do it different. So this is the Stugotz power rankings. You're saying this is the best team in the NFL. Number 1 is the best team in the NFL.
Yes, I am saying that, but I am waiting for Mike to give me the signal that he has found the proper sound to accompany this.
Okay, we need new imaging for this, though.
Yeah, this is sort of something much bigger than
Yeah,
fanfare.
we can't do the stuff that we
I'm
normally.
trying to guess them. I'm writing down my own list, see if I can guess these.
I'm going to give you something on Norm Macdonald here in a second too. After we're done with the power rankings, the more important stuff.
Another surprise?
surprise?
Too many?
Well, that's not a surprise. That's the obligated social commentary.
Oh, wait, on Norm Macdonald?
Yes, he's in trouble. He's in trouble.
Yeah, he's in
he's
trouble.
apologizing for stuff. Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit of a bummer. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, you're ready. Number 1, week 1 power rankings, NFL. Number 1, the New York Jets.
Yes.
I have a football team. I have a quarterback. I have a defense. Number 2, NFL power rankings, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 3, NFL power rankings, the LA Rams. Like that sound. Number 4, this might surprise some people. I like this team a lot, and they were very impressive week 1. Number 4, the Washington Redskins. Number 5, he is back. They are back. The Red Rifle, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 6. And did Andy Reid make a big mistake? Because if he didn't make this mistake, he'd be number 4 today. Instead, he's number 6. The Kansas City Chiefs. And now here's my surprise.
No, I can't. I can't take the same.
I love surprises.
Surprise.
Yeah, we got to know. We got to know.
No, come on.
Surprise.
Oh,
What is it?
oh no.
It's a 7th team.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
17.
So it's a top 7.
It's a top 7.
Whoa!
It's a top 6 with a bonus.
Whoa!
So not
Stugotz is 7th best team in the NFL. Next.
Demand once more money.
I don't know if I can hold it in. I mean,
You're gonna blurt it? You're just gonna blurt it?
Tell us now. Just do it. Say it. Say it.
No, don't tell me.
Maybe give us a 7th and then tease an 8? No! Tease an 8? Oh, that's excess. It's like an orgy. It's like an orgy.
I wrote down 8, I will be honest.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Lost your damn mind.
Don Batard.
Allison, don't say anything else. You're not even at the microphone as Allison. I want you to get deep into character, and I want you to be Cardi B. Are you ready? I know you don't like cameras, and I know you don't like this moment, but just give me limited fake Cardi B as alleged by Guillermo.
Stugotz.
Nailed it.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, here's the name of the book, Baseball Cop, The Dark Side of America's National Pastime. The author's with us now, and it details everything from Cuban smuggling to the biogenesis scandal. Eddie Dominguez with us. And before we get started, Eddie, and thank you for being on with us, can you just tell people your law enforcement history before you arrived at baseball?
Yeah, Dan, thank you so much for having me. So I'm Cuban born. I was born in Cuba. I came to the United States when I was 10 years old. I became a Boston police detective, police officer in 1999, and then worked there for 29 years as a narcotics detective and started 1979, I should say. I got on the job. And then I worked the last 10 years in an FBI drug task force where I did a lot of undercover work, not only in Massachusetts, but outside of Massachusetts. And that's my law enforcement background.
So how does it come to be that you get involved with baseball?
In 1999, which is when I got involved in baseball, I get a call, and I was interviewed with 40 other police officers to become a resident security agent for Major League Baseball. So every team in every city has at least one, in most cases 2 or 3, active police officers that work on the side with out of the commissioner's office. And we're the eyes and ears for the commissioner's office at the different cities.
And so they hire you to help them with the steroid stuff, or they're hiring a group of super cops to do what?
Well, we're supposed to be the eyes and ears. So my understanding when I took the job in 1999 is that, I walked around, I helped the stadium and the security in the stadium in whatever way I could, but we were also looking to see, whatever brought our attention, that we believed that it was something that would call into question the integrity of the game. So, for example, and one of the things that I write about is at Fenway Park, I noticed this individual that was hanging around with David Ortiz, and his name, he went by the nickname of Monga. So I had informants, and I, basically found out that he had assumed the identity. He's a Dominican fellow, and he assumed the identity of a Puerto Rican man. And then, from then I started investigating further, and I found out that this individual Monga was placing, large money bets on baseball. And that ended up with an investigation where we ended up, in the end, taking down 20 different barbershops and bodegas that were taking bets on sporting events all throughout Massachusetts.
He was betting against the Red Sox, correct?
in one specific date, I don't remember the date exactly, but it was against the White Sox, and he placed a bet. I had an informant that was actually at the barbershop at the time he was placing the bet. He bet $1,000 action reverse. So in other words, it was $1,000 that the White Sox would beat the Red Sox and that they would score more than, I believe it was 8 runs for that day.
So how does this work when you're investigating something like that? What ends up happening with the commissioner and with David Ortiz participating in contests if his friend is on the field, but not if he's not on the field?
Yeah, well, so I contacted, again, being the eyes and ears of Major League Baseball, I contacted then the head of the security, Kevin Hallinan, and tell him about, what's going on. That takes one route, and then my route as a police officer, I continued my investigation not only into this barbershop, but into the other bodegas and barbershops. As a police officer, that one individual making a bet is really not that important, but I would figure that with baseball, when you have a guy who's hanging around with one of the players all the time and placing that type of bets, I would figure that they would, want to investigate it further. What ended up happening is one day Kevin Hallinan shows up and we went into Tito Francona's office. We brought David in, told David what was going on with Monga, and soon thereafter I get a call from my source telling me that they had received a call at the barbershop and that they were no longer going to be taking bets at the barbershop.
So Baseball Cop is the name of the book, The Dark Side of America's National Pastime. How involved were you with the Miami biogenesis stuff?
Myself and Tom Riley were the two lead investigators in biogenesis. We started the investigation on Anthony Bosch dating back to when 2009, when Manny Ramirez tested positive. We worked hand in hand with the DEA, which when I was an RSA and I was asked a couple of times to join in the security side, but seeing what they did, I decided I had no interest in that. I joined the Department of Investigations after the Mitchell report with the understanding that, we were going to be an outfit that was independent of the Labor Department, and we would be able to actually investigate, along with law enforcement, the different issues that we found that were putting into question the integrity of the game. So along those lines, when we finally were able to get information, we got sources that could make phone calls into people involved with Anthony Bosch, and we went to the DEA, gave them all the information we had, and they started on their way in the investigation to go up on a wiretap. That happened in 2012. Early in 2013, January, the Miami New Times comes out with a newspaper article where they had gained ledgers from an individual that worked with Anthony Bosch by the name of Porter Fisher. What happened then is that the Labor Department, under Dan Halem and Rob Manfred, along with Bud Selig, decided that DEA wasn't moving quick enough for them. So, unbeknownst to us, the members of DOI, they started their own investigation. And, the DEA wasn't happy about that.
And so what did you think was the most interesting thing in all of that time covering biogenesis? Because you're someone who believes that the sport is still populated with this kind of drug use, right?
Yes, not only do I believe, but it's all the people, Dan, that I had spoken to that were actually involved in dealing PEDs. And, the person that I quote in the book, one of the persons that I quote in the book, is Major League Baseball's expert in PEDs, Anthony Bosch himself, who testified at the hearings for A-Rod, arbitration hearings for A-Rod. And he tells us, when we interviewed him recently, that there are, approximately 70% of the players he believes are using PEDs.
Why'd you write the book?
I wrote the book because I went in thinking, I left the police department early, thinking this is one of a kind type of investigative unit. I really don't believe it'll ever exist again. And I thought, according to Mitchell's recommendations, that we would actually be doing something that nobody has ever done before. I mean, actually working inside with the cooperation of the commissioner's office to identify things that were calling into question the integrity of the game. I found out that wasn't the case. I was just very disappointed in the fact that we thought we were doing something that would have been, extremely good for the game of baseball, and it turned out that it wasn't. So I felt like, people would be interested in finding out what it is that goes on behind the curtains at Major League Baseball.
When did you realize it wasn't what you thought it was?
I first realized it. I got a hint of it late in 2008, actually, when we first started, the first year we started. And then it just grew and grew, and I went in and spoke to my two supervisors, Dan Mullen and George Hanna, when that first incident happened. And I had called the Boston police, and I was ready to go back. And they talked me off the ledge, and I stayed there.
All right, so the name of the book, again, Eddie Dominguez, he's exploring the dark side. Baseball, Cop, the Dark Side of America's National Pastime. We appreciate it, Eddie. Thank you for the time.
Okay, Dan, thank you.
Don Le Batard.
Vladimir Guerrero is 7th in WAR in Nationals and Expos history.
Stugotz.
How many Expos are ahead of him?
Oh, easy. Gary Carter's first, then
kid.
Tim Raines,
Rock.
Andre Dawson,
Hawk.
Steve Rogers,
Raj.
Tim Wallach,
T-Wall.
and then Ryan Zimmerman, and then
Zim.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Ron McGill had a zoo emergency. We don't like it when we hear that, but he was supposed to be here in 15 minutes. He might be later on this week. Tom Berenger going to join us 12:30 Eastern, and we've got a couple of rock climbers and an interesting story coming up at noon that we want to share with you as well. But everything stops right now for Stugotz. The promise of the network needs to break into programming. I don't know how often ESPN does that. Bob Lee needs to be summoned. Stugotz is about to, and Jeremy Schaap too. Fainaru Wada.
Yeah. The best of the best, yeah.
Both Fainaru and Wada. What about TJ? Do we have to get TJ too?
And Don Van Natta.
Yeah.
Don Van Natta, Pulitzer winner.
Mm-hmm.
All of E60. All of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to get the 7th best team in the NFL according to Stugotz's power rankings. If you weren't with us when he first announced it, well, you were. Clearly, you were. Everybody was listening to whatever the top 6
Of course
were.
they were, yep.
So number 7, here it is. The 7th best team in the NFL according to the mighty Stugotz and his power rankings is
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Yep, we're good.
Moving on to Norm Macdonald. So here's the controversy. David Letterman, late in life here, David Letterman has decided, we've talked about this before as it regards Tony Kornheiser. He goes on vacation and all of a sudden, 3 days in, he's talking to his plants, giving the sports opinion. Like David Letterman was on television for a long time. And so you take him off of television, his wife needs him out of the house.
Kornheiser does that too?
Yeah. And so your plants are dead though. Because of the takes, because of what you're saying. You know those experiments where
breath.
You know those experiments where if you say nice things to a plant, it lives because it's a living thing. But if you say mean things every day to a plant, it dies. The plants in your house would wither and dry up just because of your opinions.
Okay. That's a saying? I mean,
it's not a saying. It's science.
That can't be true.
Yeah, if you say so.
All right. Look it up. I mean, they're living things.
I'd rather not. But
trees are living things. Look up the science experiments that have been done in terms of taking care. It's with animals, too. It's with animals and even insects.
Where are the ears? Smart guy? Where are the ears of the plant?
The ears
to
of the
hear
tree?
What I'm saying. I don't have to Google that.
So wait a minute. You don't believe that if over the next 6 months we both had plants next to each other and treated them exactly the same in every other way, but you were yelling at yours for 6 straight months and I was treating mine with kindness, you don't believe there would be any difference in the way those trees grew?
That sounds wacky and insane.
Are you serious right now?
I'm dead serious. I'm not making this up.
Again, the ears. Back to the ears.
I understand,
But
they're living things. You do understand. I don't think you know about the magnificent life of trees.
Dogs would be the same, right? Because dogs don't speak English.
Dogs, they have ears.
But they don't know what you're saying. It's just noise to them. It's just the tone of the noise. You could probably say really mean things to a dog, but you say like, "Oh, you're so ugly, you're so dumb," and they'd be like, "Oh, wow, that's so loving."
Yeah, you can't.
So if I say mean things to a plant in a loving tone, it should be the same thing,
right?
I've done that with my dog before. You can be like, "I hate you. Come here. I hate you so much." And she comes to you and she wags the tail.
Why would you do that?
Just to prove the point.
So mean.
To prove the point.
Right.
What's the point?
Animal cruelty.
So wait, is it the tone or the message when it comes to the plants without ears?
Hold on. I'm going to look it up during the break to make sure I wasn't fooled by some sort of onion ruse.
Let me Google it. Can I talk to the plant?
I'm going to Google it. I'm going to Google it.
You guys go ahead and Google it.
Do plants have ears?
All right, you guys are going to make fun of me, but I think I'm going to be right at the end of this. And
But for right now, you sound like a loon, okay? I mean, maybe you'll be right in 10 minutes, but right now you sound like a complete crazy person.
So you guys don't believe that there
Do you name the plants that you talk to, Dan, or no?
I don't talk to my plants.
Oh, wow. They must have a horribly sad life then.
I mean, if I had a plant the other night, I would have hugged that plant and said, "Hey, I got a quarterback." I mean, that's what I did with my dog.
According to the BBC, plants can see, hear, and smell.
See?
Stop it.
Where are the eyes?
They can see?
What?
Where's the nose?
Creepers. So, like, they can watch me change in my, like, whoa.
So Billy wants to talk about Jose Canseco. We will in a second. There's a street. He wants to. Do you want to rename Jose Canseco Street?
No. So this is what happened. I mean, I didn't think we were going to do this nationally, but I appreciate the push here. So locally, there was a street named Jose Canseco Street years ago for all the great things that Jose Canseco did. And then they took it away from him, and they just renamed it 16th Street. And I want to give him Jose Canseco Street back. I think it's only right.
But that's not a local story. That's a national story. Jose Canseco cannot be talked about nationally enough. It can't be. It's one of the grand fluorescent deteriorations in the history of sports. This man was dating Madonna and was as big a star as there was in sports. And then he's playing poker and his finger falls off, and he's telling people on Twitter that he needs a chandelier for his house, and he's getting arrested in a car full of goats wearing diapers.
They take away his tree.
It's not right. It's not right. They should give him more street.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm as happy as a clam.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will be, quote, as happy as a clam, unquote. The Geico legal team cannot accurately verify clams even experience the complex human emotional state known as happiness. As an invertebrate mollusk living half submerged on the ocean floor, with no arms, legs, or wireless access, what's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, "Oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today," pronounced regionally as chowder. Chowder. Oh, that's so fun to say. What were we talking about again?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Dan Le Batard.
Ooh. Guillermo, sassy.
Stugotz.
You're sexy when you're sassy.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your Sports Center update. According to Forbes, Texas A&M has supplanted Texas as America's most valuable college football program. Trevor Story became the first primary position shortstop to reach 40 doubles, 30 home runs, and 25 stolen bases in a season. And finally, super music producer and likely vampire, I'm debating how to say his name, and you guys know I am, Pharrell Williams, just revealed to Clash magazine that he initially wrote his hit song Frontin' for Prince. Not at home, not a problem, because now you get pizza delivery to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations like parks, beaches, and more with Domino's Hotspots. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's Hotspots. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
How can that first story be right? The Texas A&M is worth more than Texas?
Yep, that's what it says here, according to Forbes. Credible.
How is that possible? How is that? So, I mean, I know that when they made Jimbo Fisher the highest paid coach, I'm like, okay, they got a lot of money, but what am I missing? How is Texas A&M more valuable than Texas?
It seems like a good move for Jimbo then. I did not know that at all.
If I had asked you what is the most valuable program in the United States, just value.
Texas and Alabama.
Yep. No question.
How is it Texas A&M?
I don't know. Let me get the Forbes list. Maybe they explain that.
I mean, and they've been...
I'm sure they do.
And they've been more recently successful.
I'm totally positive that they do.
They've been more recently successful, but they haven't been national champions successful.
All right, we got a botany update. Facts and info. Are you going to laugh at me, or are you going to be like the texters who are telling me? Some of them are telling me I'm right about this plant thing.
Well, before you even give your update, I have heard from industry celebrity Ben Lyons, and he tells me that his wife talks to their plants daily, and they live forever. She's an herbalist, and she knows that talking to them every day keeps them healthy and vibrant.
This is from Discovery.com. Some plant enthusiasts believe they can sweet-talk their gardens into growing better. To see whether words could really yield fertile results, the Mythbusters produced 60 pea plants and divided them into 3 greenhouse groups. One with loving praise, one with cruel insults, and a third would remain mum for an experimental control. To give the myth a fighting chance, they did this over 60 days. Afterwards, the Mythbusters determined, that's a tough one for me, Mythbusters, determined the winning greenhouse by comparing plant masses from 3 groups. To their surprise, the silent greenhouse performed the poorest, producing lower biomass and smaller pea pods than the other 2. Although there was no difference between the quality of the nice greenhouse and the mean greenhouse, the soundtrack seemed to produce positive effect in both. So just talk to your plants. You can be mean, you can be nice, talk to them.
People that talk to their plants also probably care about their plants a lot more than people that don't. Like, they're probably feeding them and watering them regularly, which probably shouldn't be ignored. Like, if I have a plant and I'm not talking to it, I'm not feeding it.
But we're talking about experiments in science. We're not talking about your aunt.
I'd like to get 2 plants in the studio. You have your plant, I have my plant. I talk to my plant, you talk to your plant. We see which plant dies first.
All right, let's do that.
Stugotz's plant would kill itself.
And he might smoke it.
Might.
So getting back to this Norm Macdonald Letterman thing.
Quickly on Texas A&M here, Dan. Over the last 3 years prior to last season, they've averaged $148 million in revenues. The reason they become the most valuable college football program is simple. Over the last 3 years, they have gotten more contributions from alumni than any other football program.
They've got the best boosters. A&M's got the, wait a minute. I thought the boosters that people knew about in sports were Oklahoma State, were Oregon. Texas A&M has one of those.
They have a vast increase in contributions over the last 3 years. So maybe someone recently
is there one guy who wants to get in the, wait a minute, is there a rich guy who wants to get in the game in A&M, and that's how they got Jimbo Fisher? Is that the back of that? Is that what is there a rich guy who wants to get into the Phil Knight game? I want to call plays in the press box. Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Getting back to this Letterman Norm Macdonald story. So, I love what Jerry Seinfeld has done with his post-Seinfeld career.
Monty Davis is your man.
Tell me more about Monty.
Monty Davis is the COO of Core Laboratories.
I want to talk to Monty.
Which assesses oil reserves. He's an oil man.
Let's get it's an oil man.
They've got themselves an oil man.
Oh, no, Texas. Who was it? Was it Marcus Dupree who told me one time that one of the schools offered him an oil well as a recruiting gift? And I think he said it was second. Was it him or Eric Dickerson? One of them mentioned getting an offer from a school of an oil well.
Which limited the selection.
That's right. It's probably SMU. So Letterman's got a post-television career because he's late in life. He's a father, but he also has a need to create. And so he's got this stuff on Netflix that he's doing. They're giving him a lot of creative control. What Netflix is doing is trying to become television. Netflix is going to beat television in 20 years. That's what the goal is. They're spending all that money to replace television because you could see it now. I just binged the second season of Ozark, and it's great.
Oh, it's amazing.
And you can see now that Netflix is saying, no, this is how people would prefer to watch television. They don't want to wait for their sitcom to be a week from now. They want to watch it right now. No commercials. Give it to me. I want to ingest it. I want to snort it. And like Game of Thrones is the only thing. Game of Thrones and sports, right? They're the only two things that people are like, these days, I have to be home to watch this.
And The Bachelor.
Yeah, no doubt. So we've identified the three.
So Netflix is spilling money all over the bar, just tons and tons of money to challenge television and to become television. And so they've given Letterman the ability to produce his own stuff. And Letterman loves Norm Macdonald and has loved Norm Macdonald. I think Letterman has said that Norm Macdonald's his favorite guest or something along those lines. And he gave him a show. And today, now Norm Macdonald is strange and he lives in a small bubble. And what he said today, Stugotz, that got him in trouble, and now he's apologizing. And I don't know what's going to happen here at the top of this. When you get near some of the social issues of the day and the Me Too stuff and the racism with Roseanne Barr, your stuff can disappear fast. And so he's giving interviews while getting ready for the start of this time with Letterman, the show with Letterman, and he's talking about how bad he feels for Louis C.K. and Roseanne Barr. And he's looking at this through his perspective, which is the celebrity entertainment bubble. And this is what he says. She was just so broken and crying constantly, speaking of Roseanne. There are very few people that have gone through what they have, losing everything in a day. Of course, people will go, what about the victims? But you know what? The victims didn't have to go through that. And now you get everybody pouncing because he said the wrong thing, and understandably pouncing because he's looking at it through, well, I would lose everything. He wants the right to be a comedian and to be free without losing everything. He wants to be able to work in that space, and I get it. But he's making victims of people who are not victims.
Right.
He's sitting here comparing, and that's what people are getting bothered by, and it's why
the victims went through a lot worse. That's
right,
what people are saying. Yes.
Of course, not just a lot worse. Also, Louis C.K. and Roseanne Barr are not victims. They're not. They did something, and then something happened to them. That's as opposed to what Louis C.K. was doing to others, which is the victims.
It's a really clumsy, odd, stupid way for Norm to say, hey, I just want to go back to being able to, walk into a club and say whatever the hell I want.
But here, I get this part, right? Because I get how media members are always worried about losing everything they've built in a day. That must stink. That you've heard me say for years, Stugotz, I feel bad when the penalty is national shame. Who the hell wants to go through what Louis C.K. and Roseanne Barr are going through, where it's just this national shame? But they're not the victims here. And so Norm Macdonald is apologizing profusely, and I got to think it's because he wants to take care of that TV show, because it will vanish fast. And he's never had television success. He's funny, but he's never had television success with all the shows that he's doing. And now he's being backed by Letterman on something. And so when I ask you this question, what do you do if you're Letterman? What do you do if you're Norm Macdonald? You do what he did. You apologize profusely. But what do you do if you're Letterman? Because we've seen with this stuff that the flames climb high and fast. The outrage arrives quickly. Everyone's trying to outdo each other and telling everyone how stupid Norm Macdonald is. And we all pounce because somebody said the wrong thing around the thing that we're talking about.
And then you have a guy who is supporting a project with the guy who said the wrong thing, backing a guy. And so, they're going to come at him too.
No, but also, not irrelevantly, with the backing of investors who are willing to lose billions in pursuit of all this stuff. Billions. Like Netflix has the power to withstand whatever it wishes to withstand, right? If Netflix wishes to support Norm Macdonald and just keep the show, it will. If it wishes to support David Letterman, it will.
Right, but what does Letterman do?
No, but in this climate, it makes some of it difficult. And I understand, because we just talked to David Spade about this the other day. I understand why comedians of a certain age are saying, no, please don't shift everything for me. Why can't I just do the offensive stuff? It's comedy. Give me freedom to say whatever I want. Absolute freedom. I get why they're all saying that. They're all looking at it through their prisms, largely male prisms, and not hearing what women are saying about, no, we're the victims when it comes to Louis C.K., not Louis C.K.
Don Batard.
Finally, Jane's Addiction frontman, Perry Farrell.
Stugotz.
Perry Farrell. Farrell. Perry Farrell.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
A texter has thundered in with the straight talk, Stugotz. Dan Le Batard is more out of touch than anyone at ESPN with those fast cars he barely fits in and his gated community. He hates police, but has a security guard with him at all times. He loathes white men, but he owes his entire career to the one sitting next to him. Hashtag ironic.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
They are fast cars, though. We've got news here being sent in by Chuck Solitoro, the man who brought you yesterday's destruction of the Aaron Rodgers interview. Chuck Solitoro is a high-ranking executive at this company. He is always sending emails. He is telling people where the important things are, and he has just sent out a note. Content-wide throughout Bristol. It echoes there's been an alert. Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Cole Beasley says that, are you ready for this?
Hold on.
I don't think you guys are ready for this.
Wow. Okay.
All right, everyone gather yourselves. Just
Yes.
hold on. I can't just say this like this because we got breaking news here. Chuck Solitoro, when he sends out the emails that bring content to the entire company, we have to stop what we're doing and share the email with the audience.
Again, this was Cole Beasley. He plays on America's team.
That's right. America's team. This is a wide receiver on America's team. And that star on his helmet, it's redundant because this is as big as it gets. And Dolphins wide receiver Cole Beasley, who's not as
Cowboys,
big as it
you
gets.
said Dolphins.
Fine.
Dallas wide receiver Cole Beasley says social media critics are full of poop.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Full of it, not half. Full.
Of poop?
Of poop. Of poop.
Poop.
The locker room is coming apart in Dallas.
Of poop?
Poop.
He said poop.
Full of poop. He didn't clean it up. We're not cleaning it up. He didn't say the S word. He just said poop.
I mean, he's right.
He is, though.
He is right.
They are.
Can you say it again slowly?
Oh, you want me to read the whole quote, including like where he dismounts? Okay, let me read the whole quote.
Dismount on poop?
Yes, he dismounts on poop, yes.
Oh, he does. Okay, good.
Here's the quote.
Because that's where you dismount, right?
This is what he tells this is the story that's been broken by the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Credit to them. There are a lot of things people see and don't understand. There's a lot of opinions out there about what we shouldn't or shouldn't do. Did he really say we shouldn't or shouldn't do? I think he said shouldn't twice. That's the way it reads. Blame Chuck Solitoro.
What's wrong with that?
I think that's right. I think that's how he actually says it. There's a typo in this poop story. Anyway, there's a lot of opinions out there about what we shouldn't or shouldn't do or how bad the group is. We can't read and can't care about it. One of the biggest reasons you can't listen to any of it, it's all full of poop.
Whoa. Oh, my God. Oh, Beasley, man.
Inflammatory.
Billy, what is at the bottom of that bag you're breathing into as you try and catch your breath because you've lost all your oxygen from this Cole Beasley story? Is that popcorn grease at the bottom of that bag that you're blowing into because you're pretending to hyperventilate?
There's grease and croqueta dust.
That bag is so greasy on the bottom. It's the greasiest bag I've ever seen on the bottom.
Oh, man, I can't believe Beasley said that.
I mean, this Cole Beasley drops a rap album. Now he can't control his language.
Mike, how quickly do these damn windows close in this sport? That Cowboys offensive line was the best I'd ever seen a couple of years ago, making the game easy for Romo. Easy
for
Romo.
Dak. For Dak.
Easy for Dak as well. No, and you know now, you guys know, right? You know, the window's closed. It's closed.
No.
You
are closing the Cowboys'
You can't
window?
close their window just because they lost a road game at Carolina.
I mean,
Whoa.
it's still cracked open. It's still
What I'm talking about is that team that it went 13-3, and then Aaron Rodgers took them out in the playoffs. But that team was Super Bowl good enough. That team, that way.
Everyone
with
agrees.
Dak Prescott. No, but that's why. What's interesting to me in retrospect is how many people got it wrong on Dak Prescott, where you thought that because he was winning, he should replace Tony Romo. And what Tony Romo was doing there was a good deal better than what Dak has done there. A good deal better. And Dak was benefiting from that. What Dak had his first year is what Philadelphia won a Super Bowl MVP for their backup quarterback with last year. That Philadelphia team last year looked to me like the Dallas team from 2 years ago. The only difference being that one of them ran into Aaron Rodgers and the other one didn't.
Oh, but Dan, you can't pronounce them dead. They just lost a road game at Carolina. They got the Giants this week. Give them a chance.
Yep, Giants at home.
Put on the poll, Guillermo. Are the Cowboys dead? Is America's team dead? This has been a shocking show today.
Don Le Batard.
I love what the Rams are doing. The Rams have a head football coach who is younger than the child star Raven.
Stugotz.
What are you doing? What are you doing, Guillermo? Why are you making the face?
What are you doing? You've been using that child star Raven line. First off, her name's Raven Simone, and she's getting to the point that you should stop using that.
But this is my point, that the coach of the Rams is a child star. Why are you guys making faces? Give me a better reference than that.
Drew Barrymore?
Give me no, come on, man. Drew Barrymore's damn near my age. No. It's really?
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Did you see that story about the idea that tennis umpires, could be boycotting Serena matches, or tennis umpires are they thinking about unionizing in order to have more strength like the baseball umpires union?
I think they're just upset, and I think they have a right to be upset and concerned that there's been so little support for the umpire and so much support for Serena Williams. A lot of people see it differently. They see it differently. And so they're concerned about that. They're concerned about, being a chair umpire during one of her matches.
Nobody
she can end you, Dan.
Nobody wants to hear. Yes, she can end you. She's earned the right, my guess is, to end umpires. She's kind of earned it.
Well, she made that threat. We're not reading into it. She made
she
that
said,
threat.
You'll never work another match of mine again.
I'm fine with her. She has earned the right, and I'm fine with her being able to end someone's career, but end it for the right reasons. I mean, listen, you lost your composure.
Well, she didn't end the judge's career. She just ended the judge's career with what's remaining of her career.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the judge didn't think that he'd be on the side of that discussion, especially after. Part of the reaction to it is, how do you take away a point? Because we're just so conditioned to thinking that you can talk to the umpire like that, or like Kyrgios says.
Yeah, it's against the rules. She broke the rules. Like her
coach broke the rule. That's how they took the point away, because the coach was coaching.
The rules were broken, and she got really upset about it, and she got so upset about it that everyone sided with Serena because she's wonderful, she's excellent, she is a spectacular symbol for greatness and for power and strength. She's overcome a ton. None of those things get diluted by saying also her reaction to everything that happened there was over the top. By the standards, by the stuffy starch standards of tennis, where the judge is literally on high, raining down judgment by those look at the way the guy is dressed who is punishing her. He looks like he's in a yacht club.
He's on high so he can see the court better. I mean,
he's on high to rain down judgment, Stugotz. Guillermo, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Thank you, Stugotz. A very important correction that he's physically on high so he can see the court better. I appreciate it.
It's literally his job.
I was going metaphorical. It was unnecessary to go literal there. 2 minutes, get out of here.
What? It's tough to see those serves coming in that fast.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Is the judge in the box raining down judgment from on high on the tennis players? This is an interesting conversation, though, because nobody wants to hear from the umpires complaining about anything, right? We think it's our God-given American right to yell at the umpire, to complain about the umpire in all sports. The lament of the referee is the one that is most laughed at in sports. Nobody cares.
Social media was a scary place over the weekend if you want to do cape up for this judge.
Well, let me ask you this, Mike. Who chooses that as a line that they want as a career? I'm dead serious about
right?
this.
Especially in that sport where they all feel they can talk to you that way.
That's right.
You don't get any respect from anyone. The players occasionally, they'll shake your hand afterwards, but you have to be so nice, and you have to take the tongue lashing, and you're being judged on how you receive the tongue lashing.
The part about this that I found most interesting is Serena became the big story, and She dwarfed Osaka, and Osaka, that's going to be really cool to watch. The end of that. Is Osaka the one coming to get the stuff that Serena has? How long can she hang out on 36? At 36, when now the young rivals are finally coming. She's had a baby. This is not her prime. This cannot be her prime. She's got to be on the descent. Who can come in and close that gap?
Yeah, Sloane Stevens is another one that, for so many obvious reasons, would be future, past, inspiration, mentor. Not really mentor.
But why can't it be both things? What I don't understand about this conversation is why can't it be sexism and also a competitionaholic diva who has a temper, was frustrated, and behaved in a way that was uncommonly emotional for the circumstances?
I mean, I'm really uncomfortable just saying blanket sexism. There are elements. I don't think it's as blatant as some would champion.
You know what? We should all be willing to listen on this one. If Serena's struggle is going to be different than ours, man. She's coming from a different place.
Oh, she rattled off all the places that she's coming from.
But she's in a minority two different ways, right? Like we've talked about this before. Bomani Jones has it bad when people come after him here at ESPN, but Jemele Hill has it worse. And Bomani has said all the time, Jamel's got it worse than any of us. So whatever her experiences have been arriving where she's arrived, from Compton through that lily white sport to become this amazing symbol for excellence that is as dominant as anything we've seen across any sport, any time in history. She can be a symbol for all those good things. She could be a rallying cry for sexism. I'm not interested in debating her about whether it was sexist or not. She experienced it as sexism, and we should be willing to listen to that. But also, she was frustrated. She was frustrated because she knows the end is near. She has been a glutton about this dominance. She knows at some point here somebody's got to come get her. Somebody in that sport where there's all this money, right? Osaka, didn't she double her career earnings with that victory? And now all of a sudden she's going to become the highest paid female athlete because Nike wants to sign her up for the next deal.
There might be even Freudian slips in Serena's lament. I'm a mother. Maybe she's speaking that into existence because there's some self-doubt there.
I'm telling you, that part of it's interesting. How much of that from Serena came because it was sexism and she just felt the sexism and it was 100% sexism? And how much of it was a frustrated woman at 36? She does not like to lose. She certainly doesn't like to lose those things. She gets to the end of the damn tournament and it's like, oh, wait, holy bleep, I'm a mother. I've given birth. I can't be what I was 3 years ago because that's not how aging works in sports. And now I can't do anything against the girl I was taking selfies for 5 years ago. I'm losing. Like, how much of it is there? I don't know the answer to that question, but what I'm telling you, it's not 100% either way. It's not 100% she was just feeling the weight of sexism there, and it's not 100% that she's just a frustrated brat. The math on that is all of that was in play, and everybody was behaving in a way that felt less than professional.
Oh, that's where the judge was, I think, guilty, because he could have diffused the situation at several points, and Serena could have obviously.
Except the winner. She behaved just fine.
Yeah. And got swallowed by the whole thing. But she's coming now. What are the details of that Nike deal? Like, what is Nike offering her based on that victory? Because that's her star turn right there.
Honestly, it might have hurt. It might have hurt her in that moment, but all the eyes that were drawn to that, and I know
that's the power. That's how the torch gets passed right there. That's why golf needs Tiger Woods so much, because Serena does that. You get into her orbit, everybody gets paid.
More people are talking about her, even though she wasn't able to truly enjoy the win from what looked to be obvious.
But you're right about that, though, Mike. This could not have played out better for her in any way, including the controversy. If she'd merely won and then not had the controversy, it wouldn't have been what it is today, where it's like, oh, her moment was stolen. Oh, her moment was stolen. Serena stole her moment. Here's the biggest Nike contract a woman's ever gotten.
So Serena did her a favor?
I mean, sort of. I think it could be argued. Without, we could sit here talking about how her feelings got trampled at her big day, her big story, but she's 20 years old. She's got plenty of that coming up.
And it's Adidas.
Oh, my bad.
Fine.
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
How much is it?
A deal is worth $8.5 million annually, and it could be announced this week, according to the Times.
Right, and your fine is $8.4 million.
How much is my fine? What's the fine on that? Between $1 and $5, what's the fine on that calling Adidas Nike?
I'll choose a random number here. 5.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Dan Le Batard.
I had a girlfriend, and I created a Facebook account of just a random person, and I requested my girlfriend to see if she would accept.
Wow.
So you catfished your girlfriend?
Yeah, it didn't work. I had a good one.
Did you have a picture?
I just Googled, good-looking model, and it was just a random dude.
Stugotz.
I created a Facebook account of a guy named Jack Ritter, and he was very good looking. She did accept the friend request.
Where did Jack Ritter go to school?
I'm just imagining, you see on the side it says C Cody at FAU.
Oh, no.
How sophisticated?
Burner email.
Burner email?
Yeah.
Whoa, what was the burner email?
jritter@gmail.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Tom Berenger going to join us in 30 minutes, but this is an interesting story. And these two guys who are coming on with us here, their new documentary, The Dawn Wall, will be in theaters September 19th. It's a crazy story. They're rock climbers, and one of them was abducted while rock climbing. We're joined by both of them now. And again, the documentary, The Dawn Wall, will be in theaters September 19th. So thank you, Tommy Caldwell and Kevin Jorgensen, for joining us.
That wall is as intimidating a thing as I've ever seen. Seriously, that wall. I thought of climbing that wall.
It's very hard to climb. Unnecessary hyperbole from you. I don't know that a wall has ever triggered that kind of thought from you. You just wanted to get in on the interview on the front end because it's about to get crowded.
It's either that or Albert Hainsworth.
Okay, very good. So Tommy Caldwell is the one who was abducted. I'm sorry I have to do that for the audience. And Kevin Jorgensen is the young climber. So there are two climbers here, and thank you for joining us, guys. But Tommy, can you explain to us the walls? What are the toughest walls to climb in the world? What the top 3?
I mean, the Dawn Wall is the toughest. I mean, this film coming out is about, arguably the hardest big wall climb in the world, and it's on the side of El Capitan in Yosemite Valley. So, in terms of routes that have been done, this is probably the hardest.
What makes it so difficult, Kevin?
It's like climbing a sheer piece of glass in a lot of places. It's like this granite is like porcelain in texture. It's glacier polished over millions of years, and it's dead vertical, and there's hardly anything to hang on to.
Has it ever been climbed before it was climbed?
No.
By you guys? So you're the first. So what you guys did here, because forgive my ignorance with rock climbing, Tommy, but what you guys did here is the envy of the rock climbing world, correct?
I mean, I suppose definitely for some of the rock climbing world. And just to be clear, it's also hard because it's a 3,000-foot tall wall. It took us 19 days. We were living out on the side of the cliff, sleeping in, portaledges, which are like these nests up on the side of the wall. Yeah.
So explain that part of it to us. For those of us, for those of us who don't understand, explain to us what 19 days living on the side of the wall, the details that are most uncomfortable.
Details that are most uncomfortable. I don't know. It's not that uncomfortable. I mean, we got our nice little beds up there we get to sleep in. I mean, the most uncomfortable part is grabbing these razor sharp, edges of granite every day for weeks on end. The climbing is just so hard that sometimes we only climb 100 feet in a day, so other times we would climb 600 feet in a day. But it was just so continuously difficult that that's what made it take so darn long.
Tommy, how do you go to the bathroom? How'd you go to the bathroom?
Yeah, I was going to say, I might disagree. I thought it was pretty uncomfortable. Like you're pooping in a plastic bag right next to your partner. You're eating, kind of crappy food most of the time. And you're just exposed to elements. You're living on the side of this cliff that the sun beats down on you most of the day, and then at night it gets super cold. There's ice falling off the top of the cliff and kind of bombing you. So, there's a lot of discomfort out there.
Kevin, what the hell were you talking about? What's the matter with you? Honestly, Tommy Caldwell, who was abducted, Tommy Caldwell, who has lost part of his finger.
Hey, Kevin made it sound like you're staying at the Ritz.
Honestly, Kevin, what's the matter with you?
selective memory, you know. It's like it's what helps me go back. You just got to round off the sharp edges of those memories.
All right, Tommy, I'm gonna get rid of this kook here, push him off to the side, and I'm gonna talk to you about being abducted. What the hell happened?
So when I was 20, actually I turned 21 the day that I was abducted. I was on my first big international climbing expedition to the country of Kyrgyzstan, and we got mixed up in a rebel group called the Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan, and we're taken hostage. We're in this super remote region, and the Kyrgyzstan military showed up, and I kind of got in the middle of this war, and so we were held hostage, and that was quite uncomfortable.
Well, what was that? What are the details? Again, the new documentary, The Dawn Wall, will be in theaters September 19th. The abduction, what can you tell us about it?
What can I tell you about it? I mean, we had no food or water for 6 days. We were kind of being pushed around by these kind of long-range assault rifles, and the guys were quite scary. And we ended up escaping when, throughout the 6-day period, the captors that were holding us hostage were kind of being picked off one by one by the Kyrgyz military, and we escaped in the end when I pushed our last remaining captor off a cliff, and we ran for it. So, pretty dramatic, life-changing.
Hold on a second. So what happened there? Again, Tommy Caldwell and Kevin Jorgensen with us. Their new documentary, The Dawn Wall, will be in theaters September 19th. They climb the toughest wall to climb in the world, and so one of them, Tommy Caldwell, was abducted while doing it. You say you got mixed up in, what do you mean you got mixed up in that group? How did that happen?
I mean, they just showed up in the valley. We were trying to climb a big wall.
And so they show up, and what is their political agenda when they come and grab you? What are they telling you? Are they telling you this is going to end in you dying?
I mean, it's complicated. It was about funding the IMU. It's probably a bit about paving an opium trade trail through the country. A little bit of a holy war. It's a very complicated political situation.
And so you end up getting abducted. And you said you pushed your captor off a cliff. What happened in the hour before that?
We were climbing up the big mountainside for a couple of hours, and ended up just getting to this place where that seemed like that was our best way to escape. But I mean, it was a life-changing experience in a way that really led to things like the Dawn Wall. It kind of made, we pushed ourselves so far physically that it made me wonder, it changed my idea of what humans are capable of, what I'm capable of, and that's really what led to the Dawn Wall, which is the primary, focus of the film, is climbing the Dawn Wall with Kevin.
What was scarier, being captured or the Dawn Wall?
I mean, getting captured scarier. The Dawn Wall is way more uplifting. The film itself is just a fun film. It's like a buddy movie. It's a hero's journey.
What a terrible question from Stugotz.
No, but these guys are laughing at me, and here's what I'm saying. Tommy, if you didn't have any climbing experience, and I said, do you want to be captured or you want to climb the Dawn Wall freestyle?
He is still sticking to his take from earlier in the segment that it's the most imposing theme he's ever seen in his life.
Ask Tommy.
There it is. So don't listen to Stugotz. Yes, being kidnapped and possibly killed by people in a holy war, that's probably worse than, this nest that Kevin Jorgensen was sleeping in, this Four Seasons bed that he was sleeping in as ice fell around.
All I'm saying, you take the climbing experience out of it, I have a 50% chance of talking my way out of being captured. I do. I feel like I do. I'd negotiate. I have a 0% chance of surviving that wall.
2 minutes, get out of here.
What?
Tommy Caldwell and Kevin Jorgensen are with us. Their new documentary, The Dawn Wall, will be in theaters September 19th. So Tommy, so you just pushed this guy off of a cliff, and now you're in the middle of what? Now where are you?
Then we ran for 6 miles to the nearest military outpost, and eventually made our way to the American embassy in Bishkek, and eventually home.
Did you know where you were running? Did you have any idea where you were running at this point?
Yeah, we knew that there was a military outpost down the valley. It's just kind of always there. I mean, these remote mountain regions just have these military people that are just always there. Now a lot more.
Did you guys know this was a risk before you went over there?
We thought it was a minor risk. We did know a little bit about it. The State Department website had a counselor information sheet, like the risk warning for Australia at the time was higher because of the Olympics. So we weighed the risk, and we thought it was reasonable, and we were quite young and maybe a bit naive, and, I'd do things differently next time.
Tommy said it was much harder than you said it was, Kevin, but Kevin, I'm reading here that you guys were getting drunk up there and watching Netflix.
A bit of an exaggeration, except for the Netflix part. We were definitely watching Netflix.
But you were also drinking up there, correct?
What's that?
You were also drinking up there, correct?
We had a little bourbon now and then.
What does that feel like on your hands? Can you explain that to me? Like, I don't even understand. Climbing for 19 days a wall, can you explain to me what that does to a human's hands?
It really transforms them to the point where the calluses are so thick you can't even basically feel what you're grabbing onto.
You guys would have quit without the Netflix, right? You would have quit like 9 days in?
Probably 4 days in.
Their new documentary, The Dawn Wall, will be in theater September 19th. Tommy, Kevin, congratulations. Going to be fun to watch this. Thank you for sharing this time with us.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
Demand once more money.
Tom Berenger going to join us at 12:30. Is that the worst question Stugotz has ever asked her in an interview? Is that the worst
climbing
one?
A wall or getting captured?
Dan Le Batard.
Why do we still do this, honestly?
Why do we still work with him? Why do we put ourselves in this position?
Through.
Why do we work with this person? We should stop working with him.
Yeah.
We have offers.
We need to find something.
You have offers. I don't have offers.
Stugotz.
Oh, hey, Dan.
Hey, man, what's up?
Back. We were just talking about how much of a delight you are.
So we pivoted. I think we're in a good place. This
yeah, it's going to be so good this year. Get ready.
Great to see you guys so confident.
Yeah. Flying high.
Yep. This is going to be an utter disaster.
He's still here.
I've been working with him for 12 years, and I still go home upset with myself that I allow this to happen.
I am clinically depressed because of this guy.
By the way, support at my house on Wednesday night.
Really?
Yeah.
I need it after this.
I'll see you there.
I hate him.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, for the Pantheon, and Tom Berenger is going to join us in 15 minutes, but there are a handful of questions in the history of this show that Stugotz regrets asking or asked poorly. One of the nominees, I think one of the medalists for worst Stugotz question would be when he asked someone, so you like sandwiches, huh? Just a terrible interview question.
Yeah, I think that was Scalabrine, maybe.
So you like sandwiches, huh, was a question. And then there was the ludicrous question. This still brings Stugotz the rare shame. He is not normally ashamed. We thought he was allergic to shame. We didn't think shame was possible with him. But he asked Ludacris an indelicate question. We were at a birthday party, Shaq's birthday party, actually, and Stugotz was clearly drunk.
How much does the watch cost, Ludacris? How much?
I don't know. I got it for free. That's a good question.
That's an indelicate question, right? You don't ask a woman what she weighs, and you don't ask a hip-hop star what his jewelry's worth, do you?
That's why he let me ask this question.
You really don't.
So the gold medalist, though, the gold medalist of bad Stugotz questions was Chuck Norris. We did an interview with him, and there were Chuck Norris facts at that point, and the facts were things like Chuck Norris wears the boogeyman's pajamas to bed, or they were just a series of facts that then became Tim Tebow facts. We were intimidated. I chose a terrible one.
Well, I think he checked the boogeyman checks for Chuck Norris under the bed,
something like that.
Nothing
Whatever. Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth down.
Yeah, really got these down.
People know those.
It was a long time ago. These were funny 10 years ago. But anyway, Chuck Norris came on with us, and what one of them definitely wasn't was what Stugotz said. All right, we're going to see whether any of these here can crack Chuck Norris's top 10. Now, your favorite involves the Tyrannosaurus Rex. You want to do yours?
Yeah, that Chuck Norris was chasing the Tyrannosaurus Rex. The Rex was not chasing the Jeep.
Okay, in Jurassic Park. Way to screw that up. I kind of blindsided
I didn't know
him
you
there.
were throwing
That's
it to
my
me there.
fault. What it was, way to deliver that one. Good to start that way.
The worst question that Stugotz ever asked was to Russell Brand. He asked him why he wasn't successful at suicide.
Is that the worst one? Wow, we took a dark turn there.
It was a Laura Jane Grace interview.
Oh, yeah.
Where he forgot Laura's name, and he said man. The one thing that you couldn't say.
Oh, right. That's right. He said, man, listen, man, is what he said.
Yesterday, there was actually an instance.
What happened?
You called Keegan-Michael Key Michael.
Yeah, I did. I did that. Confusing.
Okay, but here's the thing. Lest you think that question...
I thought we were talking to Michael Keaton.
Lest you think that question that just got asked in the previous segment was the worst Stugotz has ever asked. He asked a rock climber who rock climbs for hobby and is totally safe while rock climbing if the scarier situation was climbing rocks, which he's been doing since 6 years old, or being abducted in a holy war. Mm-hmm. That's a question that just got asked.
That's a good one. Yep.
Abducted by terrorists. He's still defending it. He's walking around the TV studio out there soliciting people who don't speak English on, hey, you guys agree with me on this, right? He's talking to cameramen. He is going to go out in the streets in a second to argue this viewpoint.
Someone had to ask it. Now, I did garner up some support during the break. Chino now agrees with me. Chino agrees with me that, yes, if you take the rock climbing experience out of the equation and you say, hey, what would you rather do?
Essential variable.
Would you rather climb that wall? Okay, did the experience just suspend belief for just a second, okay? You have no rock climbing experience. Would you rather be captured by terrorists where, terrorists are always willing to negotiate most times, right? And I feel like I got like a 50% chance of talking my way out of it, or climb the wall that's never been climbed before. What do you want to do? Because I'm telling you, 100% chance I die on that wall.
You're strapped to a harness.
I don't think Stugotz knows that. Guillermo, put it on.
They didn't really climb it, though.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Would Stugotz talk his way out of a hostage situation?
Listen, in my personal record book, these guys never climbed the wall. I mean, you don't do it with ropes. I mean, free climb. That's how I would do it. No strings attached.
Free climb a glacier, no strings attached.
I thought that's what they did. I mean, take it away.
Tom Berenger joins us next.
Don Le Batard.
This time in refereeing, we're going to laugh at it in 40 years. Wait a minute. What? Andy Reid reached into his sock and pulled out a handkerchief with stains on it, and that's how he challenged stuff?
Stugotz.
How has tennis figured this out and nobody else can figure it out? Why are you guys clapping back there? You guys are doing...
Well, that's what you do when you're awaiting a tennis challenge. You clap.
Here comes the foot.
Yeah.
And then the foot.
Here comes the foot.
Great call. Yeah.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Was Steven... Hold on a second. I'm going to tell you what just happened. I was about to say, was Stephen A's...
Never game number 7.
Listen to me. I was about to say that was Stephen A's top 5 list of rookies in the NFL really just the order they were drafted in? I was about to ask that because some people are writing that in, and I don't know whether that's true or not, but I want it to be true. But as I was beginning that thought, Mike Ryan, for some reason, decided to not only deliver this in my ear, but to whisper it, which made it all the funnier, is, yes. Well, you go ahead, Mike. Do it again as I just experienced it to start this segment so people can hear what it's like sometimes to live inside my head. This is what was actually happening inside my headphones as I began the thought, Stephen A's top 5 list.
Dan, Tom Berenger's not there. We may have to find a substitute.
A substitute. And then he was so amused with himself. He was so pleased with himself that he ran away from the microphone. A substitute. It's worthy of the Hakeem Nicks laugh. So's this. A person has written in what I believe to be the hardest question in the history of our polling. What is more likely? Stugotz talking himself out of a hostage situation or Stugotz talking himself into one? Tom Berenger with us. New film, American Dresser.
Josh Allen, number 7.
Is in theaters and on demand September 21st. This is the height of entertainment for this Hollywood star here. He's getting AM radio and that sound effect. So here he is, without further ado, Tom Berenger, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're very excited to have you on, and we want to just ask you questions about Major League, but I'm curious, Tom, what is the thing that you're most asked about? Like, when people are peppering you and bothering you, what is it? Major League? Is it the substitute? Is it something else?
Usually it's either Major League or Sniper, maybe Platoon.
Yeah, and that one, and that one, and
those three. Yeah,
occasionally,
not necessarily in that order, but those three. It seems.
Well, I know our audience. I mean, did you guys know when you were making Major League that you were making a what was going to be a cult classic and just something that was iconic?
Well, I thought it would be. I can't speak for everybody else, but I thought it would be because I thought the writing was so brilliant. David Ward just did a hell of a job, and first of all, he really knew baseball. I knew an English guy. He said, I didn't know anything about the game. Of course, we grew up with cricket. I go, yeah. And he said, I actually learned about baseball. I go, yeah, it's probably not easy for a foreigner to learn the rules. But
it was obvious, though, at the end of the movie when you bunted there and scored the runner from second, it was obvious that he didn't know anything about baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's that? Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part of the movie.
That's the only unfortunate part, but you looked so good running down that baseline. Your knees were in so much pain.
Yeah.
You were sore for weeks
after that. It was so courageous. And it was a brilliant, it was Ty Cobb kind of tactics, way he liked to play and manage baseball as well.
Tom, it was such a great movie.
He says, it's not about home runs. It's not about that.
Right.
Somebody says, well, you really can't hit it on. He goes, yeah, and he went up and he hit 3 in a row. 3 times at bat, he hit three home runs.
Tom,
he just looked at him like,
yeah. Tom, it was such a great movie. I'm wondering and so many great actors in that movie. I'm wondering what's the best story from the set of Major League?
Wow, the best one. That's a tough question, man.
A story. I don't know. There was a time some drunk girl and her boyfriend at the bar in the hotel in Milwaukee just started some shit with Charlie Sheen. It was early in the day. We'd just gotten off work. And we all start closing in on them. Dennis Haysbert gets up and Wesley gets up. I get up. We all just kind of all had the same thought. We just start creeping in to intervene, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, this lonely guy who'd just been sitting there having a drink by himself, wearing a sports coat, suddenly jumps up, grabs the girl, throws her arms behind her back, and handcuffs her. The same with the guy, throws him to the ground, and then takes them downstairs and hands them over to a cop in the street that was out front hotel. I go, where did he come from? He's just this lonely guy I saw drinking at the bar. He just out of nowhere.
Just pulled out the handcuffs. Let me ask you to watch the language, Tom, because we get on delay here and we get a problem. But it's a well-told story, and thank you for sharing the detail. Just be careful with the language. Tom Berenger's new film.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. American Dresser is in theaters and on demand September 21st. Now, did you get any of the crazy Charlie Sheen on the set of Major League, or did you not have the crazy Charlie Sheen?
No. He was very disciplined. He really, really wanted to do that. He loved baseball. He probably could have played for University of Michigan, I think, but instead just, became an actor. And he just loved the game, and so he was very disciplined. And one thing, he had some friend who was like a trainer that was there, and Steve Yeager said, Charlie, no weights. I don't want you lifting weights. He said, that it's just not good for pitchers. You throwing, you go run, you do plenty of running, for your legs. He says, but no weights. And Yeager and I are coming up. We walk on the elevator to go up to our rooms, and there's Charlie with a trainer. He's got two dumbbells in his hand.
Just does whatever he wants. That Sheen.
We just both look down at the dumbbells, and he goes, "Hi." But he was very disciplined.
You got Crazy Charlie in Platoon, though, right?
Charlie was really, really quiet on that. It's very quiet. I mean, he's very funny, quiet sense of humor. And one thing I remember was, this must have been near the very end of the shoot. And I went down to his room for some reason to see him. And I went in there and I go, Charlie, what are all these boxes? What is all this stuff? He says, my mom sent it. It's like albums, a stereo, speakers. I go, what? We're in the Philippines, for God's sake. She's selling us to you. He goes, yeah. And I says, it's like that scene you have with Willem, where he says, what are you carrying in that rucksack? Oh, some books. Oh, no, get rid of this, get rid of that, 86 this, that. He starts throwing all the stuff out of his rucksack into the jungle. And I go, you can't travel like this. And when I saw him again, he had, it was for Platoon, he had a gym bag, his glove, his spikes, about 3 shirts, change underwear, a toothbrush, razor. That's it.
Tom Berenger,
wow.
New film American Dresser in theaters and on demand September 21st. Tell us about American Dresser. Tell us what it is you're trying to accomplish with American Dresser.
It's a road movie. It's kind of I don't know. I compare it a little bit to Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid in the sense it's that kind of humor, and they're always constantly on the road moving, those two, and a little bit like Jack Nicholson in The Last Detail. Randy Quaid's that kind of road humor.
Are you sucking on a cough drop?
No.
Okay. Last question. Thank you. Tom, we appreciate your time. Thank you for being on with us, sir.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Demand once more money.
Guillermo, you couldn't have been any less helpful during that interview. You spent the time hiding. I wanted to say to you, but I'm in an umpire's chair. I wanted to say to you, I can't reach the buttons that allow me to talk to you. Are you going to help me, or are you just going to hide back there?
I was trying not to be a distraction.
You were trying not to make eye contact with me because you saw I was drowning. You saw I was drowning, and you didn't. Instead of helping me, you looked away.
Like all the good lifeguards.
Mike, what happened? What happened? What just happened to the last 7 minutes of my life?
Would you like to hear our original idea for the interview?
Oh, no, it's not good.
Well, how about Stugotz saying as if it weren't going bad enough, 7 minutes in, Stugotz says, I'm going to ask whether it's worth to be kidnapped or on a giant rock.
In retrospect, it might have worked out.
Yeah, seriously. Would you rather be kidnapped by a group of terrorists or listen to the Tom Berenger interview again? How about that?
Oh, and now you've lost Allison. Now Allison's gone. She's mad at us. We got her in trouble with publicists. It was our fault.
I'm trying to be nice.
Was it? Oh, damn it.
I don't know.
Casper, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going straight home and hugging my Casper mattress. I'm going to sob myself to sleep because of how bad the Berenger interview was.
The idea was Dan knows it's Tom Berenger, but Stugotz just thinks it's Tom Bergeron.
Oh, that would have been great.
It would have been better than what we did, certainly. It might have been something that Billy wouldn't have hidden from.
In the middle of the interview, Chris just looked at me and goes, America's Funniest Home Videos?
You were hiding. You were hiding during that interview.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPN